Ladies and gentlemen, stop what you're doing, put down the coffee, close the other tabs, because something just happened on the PGA Tour that we need to talk about right now. And I promise you, this is not just another injury update or schedule change. This is a seismic shift that ripples through the entire landscape of professional golf. And if you blink, you might miss why it matters so much. The Texas Children's Houston Open just lost its biggest draw. The world number one, the most dominant force in modern golf, the man who doesn't just play tournaments, but controls them from the first tee shot to the final putt, has pulled out. Scottie Scheffler is gone. And the timing of this withdrawal is so critical, so perfectly positioned at the worst possible moment on the calendar that it demands our full attention. We're not talking about some mid-season filler event here. This was supposed to be the final tune-up before Augusta. The last chance to sharpen every edge, dial in every detail, feel the pressure of real competition before walking onto the most hallowed grounds in golf. The Masters is right around the corner, and the player everyone expected to dominate it just stepped away from his final preparation. That doesn't happen. Not like this. Not at this moment. Let me paint the picture for you because the context is everything. When this news dropped, it didn't feel routine. There was no casual shrug from the golf world. Fans paused, analysts scrambled, even other players seemed caught off guard. Because when Scottie Scheffler commits to an event, he shows up. When he puts his name on the entry list, you can bank on seeing him on Thursday morning. This man doesn't withdraw. This man doesn't step back. He pushes forward relentlessly, methodically, like a machine programmed to accumulate trophies. So when the announcement came through, the immediate reaction was confusion, disbelief, that nagging feeling in the back of your mind that whispers, something is off here. And then the reason emerged, and suddenly everything changed. Scottie Scheffler withdrew because his wife Meredith is expecting their second child. The birth is imminent. And in that single revelation, the entire narrative pivots from sport to something far more profound. This isn't about golf anymore. This is about a man choosing to be present for one of the most important moments of his life. This is about priorities that transcend trophies and rankings and major championships. Let that sink in. The world number one, the favorite to win the Masters, the most consistent player on the planet, looked at the calendar, looked at his family, and made a choice. Golf can wait. This moment cannot. And you know what? That's where the respect has to start flowing, because we so rarely get to see this side of elite athletes. We see the precision, we see the control, we see the victories and the celebrations and the trophy ceremonies, but we don't often see the human being underneath the uniform. We don't often see the man who loves his wife and wants to be there when his child enters the world. This decision changes how people see Scottie Scheffler, not just as a dominant force who wins majors, but as someone grounded, someone real, someone who understands that some moments are simply bigger than any game, no matter how prestigious that game might be. But here's where we need to get serious, because while the human element is beautiful and worthy of admiration, the competitive implications are massive, and we cannot ignore them. By stepping away from Houston, Scottie Scheffler is heading into the Masters without a single competitive round for nearly 3 weeks. His last appearance was at the Players' Championship. Since then, nothing. No tournament reps, no pressure situations, no real-time adjustments under the heat of competition. And in a sport like golf, that matters more than most people realize. Rhythm in golf is not just physical, it's mental, it's timing, it's feel. It's that constant feedback loop that tells you whether your driver is behaving, whether your irons are dialed in, whether your putting stroke has that silky smoothness you need when the pressure cranks up on Sunday afternoon. Even the best players in the world rely on that feedback. They need the reps. They need to see the ball flight under real conditions. They need to know in their bones that everything is working. Take that away and questions start creeping in. Will there be rust? Will the touch around the greens feel slightly off? Will the driver, which has already shown some inconsistency this season, hold up under Augusta pressure? These are not small concerns. Augusta National is the most demanding major venue in the world. It punishes hesitation. It exposes weakness. It separates the prepared from the hopeful. And right now, Scottie Scheffler is walking into that crucible without his final tune-up. That's a gamble, a calculated one perhaps, but a gamble nonetheless. He's trading preparation for presence in a life moment, and while that's completely understandable, it adds a layer of uncertainty we almost never associate with this man. Let me be clear about something because this next part is crucial to understanding the stakes. Scottie Scheffler is not entering this stretch in unstoppable form. Yes, he picked up a win earlier this season at the American Express. For most players, that would signal dominance, but for Scheffler, the standard is different. The expectation isn't just winning, it's controlling tournaments from start to finish. It's that suffocating excellence that makes other players feel like they're competing for second place. And lately, that version of him hasn't been fully there. If you've been watching closely, you've seen the subtle cracks. The driver, usually reliable enough to set up his elite iron play, has shown moments of inconsistency. Not wildly off, but just enough to put him in tougher positions than we're used to seeing. His ball striking, the very foundation of his dominance, hasn't been quite as automatic. These are small margins, but at the highest level, small margins change everything. That's exactly why the Texas Children's Houston Open was so important. It wasn't just another start. It was the perfect environment to clean those details up under real tournament pressure. One last chance to fine-tune before the biggest week of the year, and now that opportunity is gone, which means instead of arriving at Augusta polished and tested, he's arriving with unanswered questions. And that's something we rarely say about a player of his caliber. And yet, despite all of this, despite the missed reps and the questions about his form, Scottie Scheffler still walks into the Masters as the favorite. That might sound surprising until you look at what he's done at Augusta National. This isn't just a course he plays well. This is a course he owns. Wins in 2022 and 2024, consistent top finishes year after year, a level of control that very few players in modern golf have ever demonstrated at this particular venue. There's something about Augusta that fits him perfectly. The demand for elite iron play, that's his strength. The need for patience, discipline, and composure under pressure, that's where he separates himself from the field. He doesn't just survive the Masters, he thrives in it. And maybe more importantly, he knows he thrives there. That psychological edge is real, and it matters enormously. But here's the twist that makes this situation even more compelling. What if the time away actually helps him? What if, instead of rust, he shows up mentally refreshed, emotionally grounded, and sharper than ever? We've seen athletes peak after stepping away at the right moment. The body rests, the mind clears, the hunger returns. So now the narrative flips. This isn't just about what he might lose from missing Houston. It's about what he might gain. And that's what makes Scottie Scheffler so dangerous right now. He's an equation with multiple variables, and nobody knows exactly how they're going to add up when he walks onto the first tee at Augusta. Now let's talk about what happens in Texas, because the withdrawal of the world number one doesn't just affect him. It reshapes the entire tournament. The moment Scheffler officially pulled out, the Texas Children's Houston Open transformed. What once felt predictable became completely wide open. The gravity shifted. The center of attention moved. When the world number one is in the field, everything revolves around him. Game plans adjust, pressure redistributes, expectations recalibrate, but take him out, now everything resets, and suddenly, players who are expected to chase are being looked at as leaders. That's a different kind of pressure entirely. It's one thing to play freely with nothing to lose, firing at pins and swinging aggressively because the spotlight is on someone else. It's something completely different to step into that spotlight yourself, to feel the weight of expectations that weren't originally yours, to know that this is a rare opportunity and you better not waste it. You can already feel the shift in energy. Betting odds are adjusting, fan expectations are changing, analysts are rethinking their picks. What was once seen as a simple tune-up event now carries real weight because this isn't just about filling the gap Scheffler left. It's about who steps up because of it. And the list of contenders is fascinating. Min Woo Lee brings explosive distance and fearless energy, the kind of game that can overpower a course like Memorial Park if everything clicks. Sam Burns has the consistency and scoring ability to quietly take control of a tournament while everyone else is making mistakes. Brooks Koepka is built for big moments, a player who thrives when expectations rise and pressure intensifies. Ricky Fowler, when his confidence is building, can go on runs that remind everyone why he was once considered one of the best in the world. And then there are the dark horses. Adam Scott, with his experience and elite ball striking, can suddenly turn back the clock when the conditions suit him. Shane Lowry has the creativity and mental toughness to handle unpredictable conditions and grind out results when others falter. The beauty of this moment is that someone unexpected can rise. Someone can take this opportunity, dominate the week, and completely change their trajectory heading into Augusta. Because in a field like this, all it takes is one incredible performance to go from contender to headline. Let's talk about the battlefield itself, because Memorial Park Golf Course is not your typical PGA Tour venue. On paper, a par 70 stretching to 7,475 yards might already sound demanding. But in reality, it plays even tougher. This is a course that forces decisions, rewards boldness, and punishes hesitation in subtle ways that don't become obvious until you're standing over your ball wondering where it all went wrong. The fairways are relatively wide, which immediately tempts players to be aggressive off the tee. You're not just trying to find the fairway, you're trying to gain an advantage with power. And because the rough is playable, the risk of missing slightly isn't as severe, which only encourages that attacking mindset. Grip it and rip it. Send it, let the big dog eat. But here's where the trap lies. Because while the course looks forgiving off the tee, it becomes brutally demanding as you move closer to the greens. Those greens are large, fast, and extremely tricky to read. Running at high speeds, they demand precise approach shots and elite distance control. Miss in the wrong spot, and even simple putts become stressful adventures. This is why Memorial Park rewards a very specific type of player, someone who combines raw power with surgical precision, not just strength, not just skill, both working perfectly together in harmony. And the statistics bear this out. Strokes gained on approach is the biggest predictor of success here. This is a second shot golf course where precision into the greens determines everything. You can bomb drives all day long, but if your iron play isn't sharp, you're not contending. That said, dominance off the tee still plays a massive role. Driving distance matters more than accuracy here, which flips the usual expectation. Players are encouraged to swing aggressively, gain yardage, and set up shorter approach shots. Accuracy becomes secondary as long as you're in a playable position. Interestingly, putting takes a slight step back compared to other tournaments. It's still important, but it's not the defining factor. With only 21 bunkers on the entire course, traditional sand saves aren't as critical either. And perhaps the most unpredictable element of all is that course history doesn't guarantee anything here. Different winners, different styles, different scoring conditions year after year, which means adaptability is everything. So here we are. The biggest name is gone. The field is recalibrated. The course is waiting. And everything leads to one place, the Masters, because what just happened isn't isolated. It's not just about one withdrawal or one tournament. It's about momentum, preparation, and the psychological edge heading into the biggest stage in golf. The entire narrative now revolves around one question. Is rest a weapon or is it a weakness? If Scottie Scheffler shows up at Augusta and dominates like he has before, this decision instantly becomes genius. People will point to the time off, the mental reset, the clarity of prioritizing life over pressure, and say that's exactly what gave him the edge. But if he struggles, if there's even a hint of rust, missed opportunities, or lack of sharpness, the conversation flips just as fast. Suddenly, the Houston withdrawal becomes the turning point everyone looks back on. That's what makes this so compelling. The stakes aren't just high. They're narrative defining. Every shot he hits at Augusta will be viewed through the lens of this decision. And at the same time, whoever rises in Houston carries momentum into that same spotlight. This week matters. This moment matters. Someone is going to seize this opportunity and make a statement. Someone is going to arrive at Augusta with confidence brimming and game sharpened. And someone is going to arrive with questions lingering and rust potentially hiding in the corners of their game. The golf world is watching, the countdown to Augusta has begun, and the story that started with a withdrawal is only getting more interesting. Tell me what you think. Did Scheffler make the right call? Who takes advantage of this moment and wins Houston? And what does it all mean when those azaleas start blooming at Augusta National? Make sure you're subscribed because this story is just getting started and it's going to be one heck of a ride.